Donald Glover, actor, writer, comedian, artist, director, lyricist, vocalist, as well as a polarizing figure, and his new projects aren't going to change that at all. First of those new projects is Atlanta, an FX original series revolving around a few people trying to make it in the ever-growing Atlanta rap scene. The show starts off cold and intense when Paperboy, the main rapper of the series, goes up to a man and shoots him after an altercation. This is the exact opposite of what we expect from this man.
Muppet Babies is a show about a lady with no face who takes care of a frog, a pig, a dog that plays the piano, and an alien named Gonzo that chickens.
But it sets a tone, one that's real and dramatic, that doesn't glorify the rap game. But after being sucked into a story that seems to be revolving all around this one event, it ducks out. Sure, in the opening of the next episode they end up in jail, but that's just a facade. Instead, it's the medium that Donald Glover chooses to deliver one of the most real pieces of commentary on the treatment of the mentally ill inside of the prison system.
How's it going, Lee?
And right after that, they get bailed out. No court dates, no jail time, no retaliation. They're just free men dealing with the stigma of associating themselves with a gangster rapper, which then leads to another set of problems. See, Atlanta uses these large events that in any other show would be a massive jumping off point to propel the series forward, but instead, these moments are just general ideas, bullet points if you will. They give the viewer some semblance of a real plot with actions that have consequences, but they don't. These moments are there for that exact reason, to fake you out. The large majority of dramas that we've seen have repercussions from actions. It's just how writing 101 works. Even if it's inside of a procedural show, a series that stories are only contained to an episode or two, there still needs to be a form of natural answer or resolution for all those things done. For example, Law & Order, my favorite of which being SVU, there's always a conclusion. Someone gets killed, there's an arrest, and characters move on. In Atlanta, that only happens if it benefits the message that the writer wants to convey. People have beaten each other in this series, made fools of themselves on live television, and engaged with the Yakuza, but none of those things have any repercussions. Because if it did, then it just mitigate the amount of time that they have to move on to the other moral that they want to bring to light. Sure, this is done by countless shows. In shows like Seinfeld, you're creating a world where these actions don't mean anything. It is a cartoon world. It is clearly not real. Atlanta seems more real than anything. This lack of conscious consequence directly contradicts this terribly realistic world that they've created. A show where the main character has a horribly unhealthy relationship, absolutely no money, and has a mental breakdown after not being able to pawn a worthless phone. It's that juxtaposition that makes this tried and true method of comedy something special, something a bit more meaningful. It's the South Park formula. Have every episode change and differ in order to convey a message, but South Park's entire formula is obvious. Atlanta's isn't, just from that first scene. It fakes you out, it changes you, it makes you think that something else is gonna happen every episode. It creates a world that is so real that when something unreal happens, you don't believe it. You don't just accept it.
Marcus Miles is pretty cool, man. You know he got that invisible car. What? No, we don't. We do.
And we can't talk about Donald Glover without talking about his alternate persona, Childish Gambino. This is his well-known musical identity, where he's created massive hip-hop hits in camp and because the internet. Now, after years of true hiatus, Gambino created Awaken My Love, yet it's not a hip-hop album. To the surprise of many, including myself, the album is actually a pure funk and soul piece, and its lead single, Me and Your Mama, is this epic mixture between funk and rock that kicks off the album. It's loud, grand, and beautiful, and probably one of the best songs of the year. Then transitioning towards the next song on the album is a bit jarring. That track is a highly unifying, almost grassroots-like song that has shades of unity amongst the black community. From From then on, nothing connects in the album. Lyrically, the sounds of Gambino's newest project never easily transition together. One song talks about zombies in a rather cheesy and abstract way, and the next talks about the need to stay woke with a groovy aesthetic. His last full-length LP was one continuous and interconnecting story and screenplay, and now the complete opposite. And I don't think this is a self-contained incident. Sure, the album sonically matches together, but lyrically, tonally, the album shifts to the point where the last track in the album sounds very much like a Frank Ocean track. Donald Glover has been experimenting with a certain style of long-form art that's massively focused on expressing to the audience the artist's views on certain issues rather than telling you a fully believable story. I think the best example of this is in episode 7 of Atlanta. The episode actively fights against the show's usual structure, and instead focuses on Paperboy being interviewed by a local television program with parody commercials in between the interview. This interview itself is interesting, digging into the DNA of shows like this that force people to defend an entire culture and makes people become an enemy or friend just on their basic opinion. But the commercials are where the episode truly hits its stride. In between jokes about broke people with fancy cars and Arizona iced tea being over $1, there's an animated commercial that's a parody of Trick cereal. You know, the one where the rabbit tries to get the cereal, but it's only for kids so he can't have it. Well, Atlanta took that premise and made a skit about police brutality and their handling of African Americans.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting, sir.
And after that borderline brutal parody is over, the mock interview picks up right where it left off. And just because of that juxtaposition, the viewer is now stunned and confused. And that is exactly what Donald Glover wanted you to be. He isn't focused or even interested in making one concise story anymore. He's more interested in making the artistic equivalent to sketch comedy, bringing together random ideas that when brought together convey a contained message. And after that message is out there, moving on to the next one, all while working inside of contained parameters. Or more accurately, no parameters at all.
Watching haters wonder why Gambino got the game. Half-tied thicky, all she wanna do is bang. Got her hair done, French braids, now she ASAP. Bino so insensitive, she asking why you say that.